We are now going to make a subassembly of this part of the Stirling engine. So we come over to the scene browser, expand the Stirling engine, and we will select the crankcase and shift select the cylinder. And when they are selected, we right click and choose Assemble. And the assembly will be placed here at the bottom. So I will left click and hold the assembly and drag it to the top, but I will leave it inside the main assembly Stirling engine, but at the top in this structure, and I will drop it here. So the sub-assembly will be placed here at the top, and I select it and then come over to the properties and change the name here to engine, hit enter, copy the name and paste it here, and the part number will be 100 and hit enter. Then I go back to the scene browser and I will click here on the name so it will be updated. Now the engine contains only 2 parts, so we will add more parts to the sub-assembly. I will add the cover. I will left click and drag and drop it here, and then move the cursor to the sub-assembly engine, and you see that there is a plus sign at the cursor. So when you see the plus sign, you can let go the left mouse button and the cover will be placed inside this sub-assembly. And I will also drag the displacer piston and drop it here inside the engine, and also the piston rod bushing, like so, and the glass piston and the glass cylinder. So now we should have 7 parts inside this sub-assembly. And we will also add the screws and the washers. So I will zoom in here in the scene and I will select this assembly, the screw and the washer. Then I will shift select the others, and this one and the other 4 as well. And when they are selected here in the scene browser, I will right click on the selection and I will select Assemble. So now it will be easier to move all these 8 assemblies by left click and dragging, and I will drop it here inside the engine. And now when it is inside the engine, I will select this sub-assembly here and I will right click and choose disassemble. So now we have the screws and the washers inside the sub-assembly. Then I will press I key to top front right and fit scene. So now we have the sub-assembly here. So now it's time to save this sub-assembly to the hard drive. So when it is selected, we come up here to save as part assembly, and I will save it as engine, and I will click save. And now we can create a drawing of the sub-assembly. So I come up here to click this template button, and we will select A3 and click OK. And here we go to browse and we select engine and click open. And we will rotate this engine. We click this button so that we see it from the top. This will be the front view, and we will also select bottom front left, this perspective view. And we will use standard scale 1:1, and we click OK. And we place the views here. And we will change the orientation of this view later, but I will move it to this location. So now if we come closer to this view, we see that we have the information about the holes, M4 holes. So we will hide these dimensions because we don't need them in this drawing. So when the view is selected, I right click and go to hidden threads and hide all. And then we will create a section view. So we come up here to select section view, and here in properties we will have horizontal section line selected, and I will click here on the midpoint of this line, and I will drag this endpoint outside the view a bit, like so, on this side as well. And then I will click OK, and I will place the section view up here. But I think I will have to move this view a little bit, like so. If we come closer to this view, we see that we have some threads that we will hide. So I will select this view here and right click, go down to hidden threads and hide all. And then we will change the orientation of this view. So I will select it and right click, and up here we have view rotate. And if we go over to the properties, we select this option here, rotate to vertical by edge. And if I select this edge to be vertical, the view will be turned upside down. So I will undo that. But if I select this line instead, the view will have the right orientation. So we will have it this way, and then I will click OK here in the properties. And I'll move it a bit, like so. You can also add colors to this view. If the view is selected and you come over here to the actions, you can choose shaded rendering. And the view will get the color from the scene. So if we come over to the properties, when the view is selected, here in view quality we see that it's set to draft mode now. If I select precise, color is not available, or shaded rendering is not available. So in draft mode and in quick mode, shaded rendering is available. But the difference between quick and draft is that quick mode turns the view into an image, and it will have a nicer rendering. So I will have it this way. So now we will add a bill of materials. So I come up here to, first I will select this front view, and then I will click bill of materials, and I will choose assembly, and we see that the bill of materials is now associated to the front view. So then I click OK and place the bill of materials here. And we should have 9 parts in the bill of materials. So now I think I have to move this view up a little bit, like so. Now we can add item bubbles, and I will click here, and on the crankcase and on the displacer piston, then I'll press escape. You can add more item bubbles if you want to, and then we come down here and I will add some information. I will add my letters here, like so, and then I will double click, and then I will save this drawing, click save, and it will be saved as engine, and I will click save, and then I will close the drawing. But you can add more item bubbles if you want to, but I will close the drawing now.